All right, we're back again with another one. I just wanted to touch base here and give you my planned my plan of attack for early spring 2026. I will be finessing the bass. They don't usually get active until like 60 to 70 degree water, and that takes quite a while. We'll see how the spring goes. Normally the bass aren't really super active until like May around here, but late March, kind of mid March actually, to like April, it's trout season, baby. It is full swing. They're active. Trout really like that 40 to 50 degree temperature for the water. And unfortunately, I've been poking around on the internet, and it looks like the majority of my normal places to buy the Megabass Great Hunting minnows is getting depleted everywhere. There's only like a few colors and a few minnows that are still left. So, kind of knowing that and going into trout season, I'll be looking to try some alternatives. So I'm going to be showcasing those today. I will be getting after the bass too, but unfortunately those are going to need some real finessing because they're still going to be lethargic early spring. So before I talk too much, let's hit the table and look at what I'm going to be using for early spring 2026. All right, so I went to the hookup tackle and I got some Finesse soft plastics. I will be doing a lot of jigging and rigging for the bass early in spring. We picked up bottom up baits, the Gimme 2.4. So it's a 2.4 inch. It's got this kind of bluegill profile that a lot of guys have been throwing recently, but it's also got that tail in the back. Nice tiny presentation, little snack. I'm thinking about probably doing using these Ned locks here from Z-Man. I think that going on there will work pretty good. Comes halfway through, we're gonna probably nose hook it and then expose it on the back end. That'll be super dope. We also got some bugs, so all these little appendages are going to give some nice, wiggle on the float down. So I don't know if this weight will be too much. Those are kind of my favorite ways to throw these, is those Ned locks, but we'll figure out a way to use these. I think these are going to be really good. 1.2 inch from Depths Wiggle Bug. Apparently they are infused taste and flavor. Didn't know those were two different things, but hey, one in Japan. Anyhow, then we will also be doing some downsized creature / craw. These I've heard a lot of good things about Doe Live beaver. So again, an OSP product, 3 inch total length. I mean, you're looking at the actual size of that is probably up until the claws is probably closer to 2.5, and if you're looking at just the body, you're probably a little over an inch, about the same as the bug. So being on smaller hooks, we're gonna be able to and these will actually probably go on my compact jig, so something like Bitsy Bug, nice compact jig, put that on there. Oh yeah, you're talking business. That nice brown, orange, and red together. Shoo! Sexy. That's gonna catch them for sure. I could even do that by itself, like I said, on a Ned lock or something of that nature. We've got some smaller, 1/0 hooks. May or may not work. That might be a little too small. I think that'll work better on something like this. That'll be perfect for something like this. You're gonna nose hook it like that, come up. Oh yeah, and it'll just be enough for that tail to hang off there. We might get some smaller hooks. Typically I use like 3 to 4 inch baits on the weightless or Texas rigs. Another sad thing that I've noticed is all across the US, these guys are disappearing. So I make it mandatory to, where am I? I had a pack of 10s. That's my favorite one to use with these. But anyhow, the drift hooks are getting very hard to find. I think in the US, this is the only size you can find right now, is the 40 fine. So the other ones are 50. They're a little bit stouter, obviously. And usually I do a size number 10 in the 50 for trout lures like that. So I've got my hard bait box over here. And as you can see, we are definitely a fan of Megabass Great Hunting. And these are all the size 10 ones. So these 45 to 46 millimeter humpback, the humpback or the flat side. For some reason, the flat side they started doing before I don't know if they've discontinued these or what, but like I said, they're getting hard to find. You'll notice that the anchor point is turned. So for these, I have to use spoon hooks. So I'm going barbless Cultiva. Little bit bigger because they don't have this wrap and you want to keep the weight up. You go like a size, I don't know, probably 6 or 8 on those in the Cultiva barbless, and this one actually got bent out pretty good. I will have to replace that. But yeah, man, I've got, you know, the larger ones too. These I kind of go with a treble because I'm targeting trophy size. So these are barbless Maruto hooks that I absolutely love. And these can kind of go for bass or trout. So that's kind of what I do with those. And then, you know, the trophy size trout or even, you know, the bass, I will go like a size, what is that, size 8 or size 6? That looks to be about the size 8 for these slightly larger profiles. That's a 60 millimeter bait. So size 8 hooks for those. And then if you want, you can, you know, get into these really bigger ones for like, sometimes I'll put those on my, my larger jerk minnows, like these guys, the Zoom Verno or the 110 Junior, you know, cranks of that size too, 75 millimeter to 110 millimeter. But yeah, I am definitely looking to find some replacements for these megabass or to add to these because, like I said, a lot of these are getting beat up, and I don't know if they'll make it. While I've got the box open, I didn't get to try this one in 2025, although it was purchased, and I'm very excited to do that. This is a Lucky Craft, what was it, 0.3? It's actually under. So I put a 1 gram weight on there, and this is from, oh, what is it, Zappo. They're little boards, they're flexible weights, and they had adhesive on there. So this is only a 3 gram lure, and for the open water setups it just wasn't loading properly. I had troubles casting it, so I put that 1 gram on there, and hopefully that will help. But this is a silent, you know, square bill crank, and really downsized, and I'm hoping that we can catch some bass on that because the silent cranks usually work when it's cold water. It's not too much, you know. This has got that kind of silver color to it, should supply some flash, you know, enough to get them bit. But anyhow, work calls incessant on a Sunday, but I'm hoping anyhow that these Yamanami, I'm probably butchering that, Yamanami, little 45s will maybe replace the megabass if I lose them. So these are obviously trout style jerks. I found these again on the hookup tackle when I bought the soft plastics, and we're going to do some hook swaps to the Van Fook and figure out what size to use. So the drift hooks, if anybody has other options for the drift hooks, because those are selling out, like I said, everywhere, let me know. If you know of any other brands that make that kind of, most assist hooks will have the hoop like way up here, and then they've got long pieces of rope. I'm not really looking for that. I'm looking for something that's close to the body. Anyhow, let's make our modifications here. This is what I always do with all my baits. First things first, this little snap ring comes off. You can grab these from Michael's or Joann Fabrics or whatever your little craft store is. They're just split ring pliers, and I find that these usually work better with these smaller split rings. Most of your fishing dedicated pliers that have split ring openers typically just don't get into these finer ones all that well. So I usually use, got them right here, the speed clips. Brand doesn't really matter. Usually I get that really small size, like 1/4 inch or smaller, and those really help with swapping out on the fly, and you don't really need the split rings. I feel like those just kind of get in the way more than anything. I like to have more contact with a bait when possible. But, so this is what we do. When you're talking fast sinking jerks, you want to figure out what your weight is. It's a little less important on trout minnows, these smaller ones that are around the 45 millimeter size, just because there's more weight in the body, and typically these hooks are pretty tiny. So I don't even know if this is going to register on the scale, these tiny trebles, but I don't like to use trebles with trout. It's just not necessary. It makes it harder to get out of their mouth. Their mouths are not built like bass. Yeah, not even going to register. It is probably less than 0.1. So when you have this kind of scenario where you can't get a read on the treble, the best thing to do is go by gap in the hook. So, you know, if I put this up to here, we're about there with a size 12. You know, again, we'll try and keep the weight where it needs to be. So we'll try these little size 12s. Typically, like I said, size 10 on the mega basses. But I am out of 10s apparently. I could have sworn I had at least one more 10 left, but I am not finding it in the bag, so I don't know what to do about that. Alright, well, anyhow, I ordered a bunch from Japan, because you still can get them in Japan, even though they're harder to find in the US market. The Van Fuchs are still available on Digitaka. I did a huge order on them. I ordered like 6 of the 5 packs for the size 10. I got some more 8s and a couple 6s, just because they're disappearing, and size 12 is the only thing that I can find in America at the moment. I'm talking about checking Hookup Tackle, the Fisherman's Hut, Bait Finesse Empire, all the usual spots that I go on the internet are sold out of, especially the 50 size, that thicker hook, but moreover, they're out of size 10. I don't mind using fine wire if I have to. I'd prefer a stouter hook, but you know, size 10 is kind of what I look for there. So let's see what these guys are on the scale, if they're negligible. And you're gonna hold the orientation that you want. You want your hook facing backward on the back. Some guys put them facing forward on the front. I like to put both back. It keeps it weedless, because if you have that hook facing forward and you're dragging it along the bottom, which happens a lot in stream and creeks with fast sinking lures, you know, all of a sudden you'll hit an eddy and your bait will be down at the bottom, and you'll get snagged on some brush or whatever is lingering down there. But anyhow, I love these because they just work. They stay out of the way more or less. You drag across, right? If you're dragging across the bottom, they just kind of don't hook on anything except for the fish. And again, like I said, I like to go 2 hooks. Sometimes, you know, with these little baits, these 45 millimeter ones, I might even forego the front hook just because it's not adding a lot of weight. It doesn't really affect the action, especially in fast sinking baits. but you know, just to slightly increase your hookup ratio, you can keep that front hook on. Though it's not, I've found that especially during trout season, spring, early spring, not really necessary. I mean, these baits are so small, if a trout's going to eat it, firstly, they usually attack from behind anyhow. But you look at the distance between the front hook and the back hook, and it's not really necessary. And then again, you know, I want my hook to be going like this. So I believe this is the correct way. We shall see once I spin it around. It's the only downside about these Van Fook drift hooks is because this is flexible and it helps with retrievals, not getting snagged on things, it is kind of hard to get onto your snap ring sometimes. But we are on there. There you go. Final product. And that's why, you know, dragging across the stick or something, that's why I keep the hook facing backwards on the front as well. Had I spun this around, you know, I probably would be catching a lot more than I am in this orientation. So there you have it. There's one done. I'll go ahead and do the other one. You guys don't need to see that. I think that's going to do it. We might even get some blade bait action. Pretty much any... Oh, yeah. There you go. I've got them on even the blade baits here. These Van Fook drift hooks, man. I am a huge fan. Anything that's downsized, you know, that doesn't necessarily need a treble, but comes with one, I swap out to these. I'll be using these as well. And basically in Vermont, anything that works in winter will work early spring because those water temperatures take a while to turn around. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for the bench view here, and we'll do the sign out in a minute. One more thing that I wanted to add that I forgot to showcase on the table here on the bench. Definitely going to be using some of these shaky head hooks. I ordered a bunch of them because I noticed I had one that I borrowed from a friend last year when the water was really cold, and I noticed that it worked. It was highly effective. Just another worm offering other than Wacky Rig. Wacky might come into play too. I also have some weedless Wacky hooks and Wacky ring keepers. So if you've never used a Wacky Rig keeper, your worm stick bait goes through this larger diameter there, and then your hook goes up top. And that's so you don't tear out your plastics as fast, because we all know, well, Wacky catches them, you burn through baits pretty quick doing that center hooked point in stick baits. Regardless, Wacky Rig, shaky head, add those into the arsenal. Probably 6 to 8 inch worms on those. I've got some Strike King KVD perfect plastic worms that I'll be using. You know, even something like this. These are the Zoom Super Salt Plus watermelon red 20 pack. Just a long worm. Some to get that. Well, I might not use these because these are super salt, so the salt's gonna make it want to kind of sink. We'll see how it goes. We'll try these shaky head, but typically you want a floating worm, which those KVD perfect plastics are. But you know, we could probably figure out a way to use these as well. They got a super long tail. the stick portion of the bait is only like, I'd say 2.5 inches, and then you're doubling it on the backside. So yeah, we'll try it all out, see how it goes. I think probably, you know what, that might work because, yeah, I think that will work because, like I said, the majority of it is tail, so that's going to be kind of up in the air. So I think we'll try some shaky head with the Zoom ones and the KVD Perfect plastics, and should be ready to go for spring. I'm doing a lot of prep purchases right now, and kind of getting all my tackle in order and swapping out things that are maybe too large or aren't going to fit the bill for bass, and bringing all the trout stuff forward, because that's going to be the more plentiful and easier targeting fish, for at least my area in Vermont. So all that being said, I think we're done here. If I've inspired you to try some stuff, or maybe you saw some stuff you haven't seen before, definitely check out the hookup tackle for the soft plastics and these 45 millimeter minnows. Like I said, megabass for whatever reason are becoming scarce, and please let me know if you have another option for the drift hooks, because I absolutely love these and I'm pretty upset that they're disappearing. So that's it. Till the next one, travel light, live heavy. A-dubs out.